Welcome to Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help educate you about narcissistic abuse because your feelings do matter. Hi, and welcome to another broadcast of Narc Abuse No More with your host, Dr. and Evangelist K.L. Rich. Thank you for tuning in today. Today is Tuesday, August the 24th of 2021. I pray that you've had a blessed, stress-free, narcissistic-free, abuse-free week so far, and that the remainder of this week will continue to be so as well. But if not, we're going to be talking about a few things today. Again, my name is Dr. K.L. Rich with Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Yes, they do. But before we go on with today's broadcast, I would like you to visit us on our website at www.narcabusenomore.org. Again, that website address is www.narcabusenomore.org, or you can type in narcissisticabusenomore.com. Again, that's narcissisticabusenomore.com, and on our website you find valuable information regarding narcissism, regarding relationships. You can also listen to these podcasts. If you have missed any, you can now listen to them. First of all, let me just say we're on every Tuesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, as well as Deezer, Castbox, and a few others. Or you can go directly to the website. That's narcissisticabusenomore.com or narcabusenomore.org. And you can listen to these podcasts from there. If you missed any, if you're not able to tune in at the time that we air, you can always catch us in the archives. Now, if you, wherever platform you're listening to, you can always download the app. So if you're listening by Spreaker, download the Spreaker app and put Narcissistic Abuse No More in your favorites. If you're listening via SoundCloud, you can do the same thing. So whatever, iHeartRadio, do the same thing. Download their apps and make sure that you put Narcissistic Abuse No More in there, or Narc Abuse No More in there, and you will be able to always listen to this at your convenience. We are also now on YouTube. All right, so you can also listen in on YouTube. Go to Narcissistic Abuse No More. Okay, Narcissistic Abuse No More. Put that in your what you call it, subscribe. Yeah, subscribe, and also click on the bell so it will alert you as to whenever new podcasts are uploaded, and you can always listen from there. All right, what are we talking about today? We're talking about that narcissistic triangulation. Narcissistic triangulation. They want to have you in a triangle. Yes, they want to have you in a triangle. And so we're going to talk about some ways to stop it from having that, from being in their triangle that you did not want to be in, that you did not consent to, that you did not ask to participate in. And so what is narcissistic triangulation? Narcissistic triangulation is this doctor, his name is Dr. Romani Dervosa, if I'm pronouncing his, I know I'm butchering his name. Dervosula. That's Durvasula. He's a professor of psychology at California State University. He calls narcissistic triangulation a psychological threesome that you did not consent to. A psychological threesome that you did not consent to. Basically, Narcissistic triangulation is when the narcissist brings a third party into the relationship without your consent. I'm not talking about a therapist. I'm talking about when they're upset or they're trying to use a third party to manipulate or control you or have some kind of power over you, engineering a rivalry between you and that third person. And sometimes the other person don't know. Sometimes they use their flying monkeys that do their bidding, but sometimes the third person doesn't know that they are being used. So you want to get out of that narcissistic triangle that they are doing. Now, one thing, let me use an example, is you can be in a relationship with someone and they will bring up their ex, and they might say, oh well, my ex used to do this, or my ex used to do that, and they will take the experience that they have with their ex and bring it into your present relationship. And why are they doing that? They do that to try to make you feel jealous, to try to make you feel insecure. They try to shame you. It's a form of power and control. Now let me just say this. If they are bringing up their ex, the question you should be asking in your mind is, why aren't you with your ex? If things were so great and loving and lovely and you just love the water that they walked on, why is it that you're not with your ex? And see, when you think like that, then that keeps you from being manipulated, dominated, and controlled, because you have in your head, well, if it was lovely, you would be with them and not me. Okay? Another thing that they use is they'll triangulate within the family. If you are a child of a narcissist, or you part of this narcissistic family, well, they'll use, if it's a parent, they'll use the golden child, because as we've talked about before, you have normally your golden child and you have your scapegoat, and your golden child gets thrown up in the scapegoat's face. Well, why can't you be like Johnny? And Johnny does this well, and Johnny does that well, or Sally does this and Sally does that. And so they will pit you and the golden child against each other. That's another form of triangulation. And it's sad when it happens with parents that are narcissists, because what it does, it can cause division between the children. It can cause ill feelings. It can cause jealousy. It can cause envy. And this is never good within the family. And narcissists, they destroy families by pitting family members against one another. Another area where this narcissistic triangulation can take place is in the workplace. You have narcissistic leaders that love to foster an atmosphere of chaos in the environment, and that is never good on the workplace, where you're pitting people up against each other. This is not Wall Street. We're not placing bids for stocks and all whatever goes on Wall Street. All right, so in your regular job, in your regular workplace, sometimes when you have narcissistic leaders, they will try to have one person that shines and the other one doesn't, and it leads to gossip. It leads to people being bitter towards each other on the job, especially when the leader is the one that's doing the division and using it to actually manipulate the other ones on the staff. Now, there's nothing wrong with having someone that might be a role model, that they say, well, look at this person, and you can kind of get some help from this person. But if they're not doing it constructively, then what they're doing is causing division. Let me use an example from the Bible. And even though Jacob, I'm going to use Jacob, even though Jacob may not have been meaning to cause any division in his home, the things that he was doing that showed favoritism towards Joseph over the other brothers was like a form of triangulation. He may not have been intentionally trying to do that, but the brothers that were older were jealous because of Jacob's attention and favor towards Joseph, and this caused them to be envious and bitter. So this was a type of triangulation that was, you have Jacob at the top that was favoring Joseph against the brothers that was to the left. Therefore, this caused a major conflict within the family, and they hated Joseph because of it. All right, so basically, when you're dealing with this triangulation, even though narcissists, they have the outward appearance of being confident, being having the highest self-esteem, and in reality they don't. They have very low self-esteem. Most of them, their self-esteem is fragile, and therefore they try to compensate for what they are missing in their own lives. So they will try to make someone else feel bad, again, just to make themselves feel good. And if they have to use triangulation by causing someone else to feel bad so that they can compare, and see, this is what they do. They try to point out what they consider your flaws, your weak areas, and they'll compare it to someone else where they're exceeding in this area and you're failing in this area. But the crazy thing about narcissists is that they never put themselves to that same scrutiny that they put others. So they never do try to they never look at themselves and say, you know what, I got some things that I need to work on, while I'm pointing the finger at someone else and trying to make them feel bad. And people who feel good about themselves and who have a healthy self-esteem, you don't have to put other people down, because guess what, you got your own sense of self-worth. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment. That's what friends are for by Dionne Warwick. That's what friends are for. All right. So we're getting back to this insecure narcissist that will try to triangulate you when they don't feel good about themselves because they need a constant sense of admiration, they need flattery, they need attention, they need what we call narcissistic supply. That narcissistic supply, they're like a drug addict. They always have to have that feed. They have to get that itch met, and therefore they need the attention. They seek that control, and when they feel that they don't get enough of it, they get what's called narcissistic injury. And what that is that they get a sense of who they really are in that narcissistic injury. So whenever you tell a narcissist that, or point out their mistakes or the things that they do, they can't handle it. So it's like cutting them in every way but south, and therefore they get what's called narcissistic injury, and they often express the rage. This is when they go from Dr. David Banner to the Incredible Hulk, for those who remember the Incredible Hulk series. And it gets really ugly when they go into that narcissistic rage because they can't handle the true essence of who they really are. Empty black holes. Okay, they need help. They need someone to help them in their development, because their emotional development is immature. You can have a person that's 40 years old that will I'm gonna say go down to a 2-year-old. Okay, what I mean by that is they could be 40 years old, but then when they experience what they consider as their narcissistic injury, then they'll act like a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum in Walmart. All right, so they don't have the emotional maturity that they need to have for whatever age they are. Yes, they can be in their 40s, they can be in their 50s, they can be in their 60s and still go back to being immature. One of the things that the reason that they do this triangulation is they want to gain control or maintain control. Everything about the narcissist is built upon controlling someone else. A lot of times they may not have control over their own lives, or they may feel out of control. You might say, well, they're in leadership position, they're still not feeling as if they're in control of anything, and so they use it to their advantage. All right, so they need flattery, they need the attention, and one of the things they do is they'll do anything and everything to get that narcissistic supply to build up or prop up or to put a temporary band-aid on their self-esteem that is almost or nearly non-existent. So what they do is they try to hurt you to compensate and overcompensate what they don't have. And they paint themselves in this positive light. They make themselves look as if they are the epitome of self-esteem, and they're not. And so therefore they're constantly looking for narcissistic supply wherever they can get it. Even if it means hurting someone else, they would do it in order to be able to have that control and a sense of power. And after all, they feel as if they've earned it, they deserve it, and they are entitled to it in their own minds. Another thing that they do is they do this triangulation to make you chase after them. They want you to feel jealous. They want you to be envious. They want to try to do whatever they can. Again, this is another means of control. So therefore, they feel like if I can make you chase after my love, if I can make you chase after my admiration, if I can make you chase after my attention, then that makes them feel good. And And this is part of them wanting that narcissistic supply, to have someone that's fighting for their attention. It gives them an excuse to belittle you, to argue, to try to lower your self-esteem, because after all, they know that you're looking for that validation from them, if you are. And they understand, if they know that you want validation, they will try to suck it dry, because they know that you're trying to get something that they feel that only they can give you, and therefore they're going to use it to their benefit. Another reason they use triangulation is to lower your self-esteem. And they want to do this because they don't feel good about themselves. Therefore, they want to make others feel worse than they feel about themselves. And it's sad, because even though they claim to love people, they don't really understand what love really is. So therefore, they use other people as a punching bag. They use other people to put you down, to make you feel inferior when they don't even feel good about their own selves. They point out your flaws. They point out things that make them feel better about themselves. And nothing is worse than somebody that's attacking someone else with the same issue that they have, but it's like calling the kettle black. All right, so they would do anything that they can to make themselves feel good at your expense. So how can you stop this from happening? How can you stop the triangulation? Because no one wants to be triangulated. No one wants to feel as if you're using someone else to make me feel bad about myself. And again, narcissists will use any tool in the arsenal, and triangulation is one of them, to gain control over their targets, over their victims. So what can you do? Number one, recognize the game. The reason we talk about narcissistic abuse is because the more that you know, the more informed that you are, the better you can be at recognizing the game. You have to know their moves. You got to know how to calculate them. You got to be able to anticipate them. I often say, where the narcissist is playing chess, the target is playing checkers. You have to be on the same level of the game that they're playing, but just recognize the game. Recognize that they have pulled you into your web, into their web. Do they try to bring up a sibling that is different than you? Do they try to bring up their ex? Do they try to bring up someone that they know that, hey, even if this person might have something better that they do than you, there's always a weakness in everyone. And let me just say this, because sometimes we compare ourselves to people that are just as insecure about something in their life as you are. For example, let me use this. Magazines, whether it's Vogue, whether it's all the different Cosmopolitan, but all these Cosmos, all these different magazines, and they have these celebrities. And these celebrities, they airbrush them. They try to make them look, really flawless and everything. But what people don't realize, even on the Oprah magazine, if it's still out, what people don't realize is that these people are just like you. Okay, they may have more money, but other than that, they're just like you. They have the same insecurities. They have the same struggles. They have the same stresses in life. Maybe not monetary wise, but even when you have money, it brings on a whole new type of stress, a whole new set of problems. A lot of them, they have to make sure they choose friends wisely. Why do you see that celebrities are always getting together and breaking up? Because they have the same issues, if not more, than the everyday common person. Not just because a person can sing does not mean that they're not going through anything in life. Just because someone can act doesn't mean that they don't have the same struggles that you do. Hey, they have to go to sleep, they have to eat, they have to get up and go to the bathroom, they have to shower. There's nothing different. And oftentimes people will compare themselves to celebrities when these people are no different than you. Only thing different is they're in the public eye and may make more money. That's it. And so I use that as an example to say that when you recognize the game, then it leads you to number 2. Don't play it. Don't play it. The only way that you can beat a narcissist at their game is refuse to play the game. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. You don't need to chase after them. You don't want to be like, oh, I need you. I need you. I can't live without you. You the only one that make me. No, because that's what they want. They want you to feel as if you got to have them. You can't survive without them. You need their approval. You got to have their validation. They the only ones that can tell you who you are and what you can be. No, don't play the game. Don't chase after anything when it comes to a narcissist. Know who you are, because when you do it, you reinforce that bad behavior that they're doing. Don't play into it. Ignore it. Say, hey, I know what my worth is. As I often say and quote from the psalmist, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and I know that full well. It's not arrogance. It's saying, I know whose I am, I know who I am, I know who I serve, I know who I belong to, and only approval that I need is that of the Lord's. Okay? So don't play the game. Number 3. Respond instead of reacting. Oftentimes when we react to a situation, we're not thinking clearly. We tend to get upset when someone says something that we don't like. We, instead of thinking about it and taking some time to say, you know what, I'm not going to say anything right now. I'm going to immediately react to what they just did to me or said to me or whatever. We don't take the time to just say, you know what, I'm just going to pull back, because the reaction I'm about to give this person right now is exactly what they're going to want. So therefore, I'm going to back up. I'm going to just respond to this later. I'm going to address it later. I'm not going to give them the reaction that they want, because that is giving them that narcissistic supply. So when they try to provoke you, when you seeing them doing this with the triangulation, trying to make you jealous, trying to have you your self-esteem at a low, don't react to it. Respond to it. Think about what they're doing. Actually understand the game. Know what they're doing, because when you know the rules to the game, you know not to play it. And you know whenever they're pulling out the cards to the game, you're like, okay, I know what this card is. I know this is triangulation. I know this is gaslighting. I know this is stonewalling. I know when you know how they operate, then you know I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to react to it. I'm going to respond to it by not dealing with their game. And then when you decide to remain calm, when you decide to respond, you can let them know, hey, you know what? You might feel that this person is better in this and that. I disagree, but you're entitled to your feelings and I'm entitled to mine. You don't have to accept the garbage that the narcissist spews all over you. Reject it. Reject it. You don't have to allow it to become a part of you. They can only plug into your narcissistic let me rephrase that. They can only plug into your life force to gain narcissistic supply if you leave the plug open. You know how children in the stores, they have these socket covers, and you plug these into the socket to block children, especially babies, to block babies from being able to stick things into the plug or harm themselves, get electrocuted. This is what you need to do with the narcissist. Have your socket covers over the sockets to prevent them from getting narcissistic supply, to prevent them from being able to refuel, to regas themselves off of your life force. Plug it up. Don't allow your sockets to be exposed to the narcissist. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
A time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, when it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We are a part of God's great big family, and the truth, you know, love is all we need. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. Well, send them your heart, so they know that someone cares, and their lives will be stronger and free, as God has shown us by turning stone to bread. And so we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world. We are the children. We are the one to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. Oh, there's a choice we're making. We're saving our lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. We've done enough. This is the whole at all. But if you don't believe, there's nowhere we can fall. Well, we're learning to realize, that a change gonna come when we stand together as one. We are the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving.
world. And there was so many artists in there, I couldn't even name them all, but we know that was by Michael Jackson. We Are the World. All right. So we're coming to an end, and there's a few more things that I want to go over with you for us, trying to make sure that you don't become part of the narcissistic triangulation. One thing is prayer, and for us maintaining that peace that surpasseth all understanding, and we know that's through the Word of God and prayer. And so take time to maybe go on a walk, meditate on God, get some peace where you can get away from the triangulation of the narcissist. Have time to think, have time to recoup, have time to even respond to the triangulation that the narcissist is trying to do to you. Number 5, get support. When you're dealing with any type of emotional abuse, one of the best things that you can do is get support from a therapist, get some support from a group, get support from a friend or a trusted confidant, someone who knows about narcissistic personality disorder. Make sure that you talk to someone who can help you and to stay encouraged, in order to encourage you, to let you know that, hey, you're not crazy, that this is what's taking place, and that can help to keep you on the straight and narrow with regards to your emotional health. We all need our emotional health in check, and narcissists can drive you insane if you don't have that support that you need. And last but not least, leave the triangle. Refuse to participate in the triangle. If you have someone that cannot love you, that cannot respect you, that cannot treat you with dignity, that cannot appreciate you, that cannot value you, someone who does not see any good in you, then it may be time to leave that triangle. Now, if you are married to this person, I would suggest that you get counseling. This is not a one-size-fits-all, but you definitely need counseling, therapy, and if those things do not work, then you may have to talk to someone to see, okay, what is it that I need to do, depending upon the level of abuse that you may be going through. Because no one deserves to be abused. That means sometimes you have to, by leaving that triangle, you have to cut contact with the narcissist, go low contact with the narcissist, which we talked about not too long ago, and set yourself on the right path towards emotional healing. Because at the end of the day, the narcissist wants to break you. The narcissist wants to play mind games with you. They want to drive you to feel as if you are of no value, and they're not looking out for your best interest. They're only looking out for their own, and therefore the only way to not be a part of it is not to play the game at all. All right, that is the end of today's broadcast. As always, I love to send you to some articles that you can find additional information. This is called The Narcissistic Life. What is narcissistic triangulation? An easy 6 ways to stop it. And again, you can find this on thenarcissisticlife.com, thenarcissisticlife.com. And the article is called What is Narcissist Triangulation and 6 Easy Ways to Stop It. We are up out of here. I pray that today's broadcast has been informative and has been a blessing for you. And again, know that your feelings do matter. We say this on this podcast because your feelings really do matter, but until they matter to you, they won't matter to anyone else. It has to matter to you. And when you're dealing with the narcissist, they don't care about your feelings, so you have to care about your feelings. feelings. All right, we are up out of here. This is Dr. K.L. Rich with Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. We're about